Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC. A lot of people are excited for the brand new, long-awaited hero, Doomfist. But just like with any new character, there's a lot to learn. So to help you guys stay ahead of the curve, I'm gonna run through the top 10 tips for Doomfist. Special thanks for today's sponsor, TubeBuddy. I've been using it for almost 2 years and it's amazing. Custom templates, bulk editing, tag rankings, and a lot more. If you want to grow your channel, TubeBuddy can help. Click the link below to learn more. Starting at number 10, using a rising uppercut before a Seismic Slam will increase the distance, but it also lowers the damage. This has to do with how the Seismic Slam calculates damage when started in the air versus on the ground. Here's a quick demonstration. Using the Seismic Slam from a standing position will deal 49 damage. Using the Seismic Slam after a normal jump will result in about 62 damage. However, if you use the Seismic Slam after a rising uppercut, you'll notice a significant reduction in damage. In this case, it's only 39. The reason for the differences is because the damage for Seismic Slam is calculated by how much time you spend in the air from when you activate the Seismic Slam until you actually impact the ground. In the case of a standing position or a normal jump, your character must first leap upward in an arc and then move downward. This upward movement is added to the damage of the Seismic Slam. However, when using the Seismic Slam after a rising uppercut, the game will not make you move in that upward arc. Instead, it will make you move directly toward the point of impact. The end result is that you have less travel time and therefore less damage. So because of this, getting high ground can be quite beneficial for Doomfist, as it allows him to initiate with Seismic Slam and do a lot more damage, sometimes 2 or even 3 times as much as he would normally have. So in between fights, it's a really good idea to try to take the high ground. Number 9. Following up on that last one, it's important to know that Seismic Slam will deal damage in the direction that you're facing and not the direction that you're traveling. If you're high in the air and you use this ability, there's a good chance that your target will move before you hit the ground. Simply spin your character around and make sure that you're facing the enemy and they'll always take all the damage. This also allows for an awesome technique that originates in fighting games. It's called a cross-up. At close range, you can use the Seismic Slam to leap through the enemy. Then, while you're in the air, you can spin 180 degrees, and then when your Seismic Slam impacts, it will hit them from behind. At that point, the enemy will get bounced into the air a little bit, they'll be disoriented and facing the wrong way. You can continue to pile on more damage while you're behind the enemy. This also sets up for some pretty good combos, but we'll get back to that later. Number 8. Left click versus abilities. Most of the characters in Overwatch get the majority of their damage from a standard left-click attack. Their abilities will then supplement this primary left-click damage. Doomfist, however, works the exact opposite. The majority of his damage is going to come from his abilities, and his left-click is just a little bit of a supplement to that. Knowing this, it's important to use Doomfist's abilities as much as possible. Because they have such a short cooldown, you really don't have to worry too much about wasting them. You still need to be smart about it, but there's really not much reason to try to hold on and save them. When your abilities are up, you should be using them. When they are on cooldown, however, that's when you need to be firing off those left clicks in order to add more damage. So if you uppercut, fire off a couple left clicks, then use a rocket punch, fire off a couple more left clicks, use a Seismic Slam, fire off a couple more left clicks. You guys get the idea. And remember, if you're ever in a situation where all your abilities are on cooldown and your left click has been used up, you can still use your quick melee to fill the gap. Number 7. Contrary to popular belief, Doomfist is not a god tier invincible character. Just like with any flank or dive character, you have to be careful. If you just charge in by yourself into a group of 3 or more enemies, you're gonna die. So first things first, you shouldn't be attacking the enemy team by yourself anyways. Just like with any other character, you will need to coordinate at least a little bit with your team. Now, once you have engaged the enemy, you need to quickly plan a method of escape. Don't just dive in and frantically run around until you die. Get in, do the damage that you can, and then escape to fight another day. You don't have to kill the entire enemy team by yourself. Even if you just get one kill and then withdraw, that's often a really good situation. Because if you die as well, all you did was trade 1 for 1. And sometimes it's better to not engage at all. I've seen many Doomfist players who will start to charge up that rocket punch, and then the situation goes bad, but they release it and they charge in anyways, which gets them instantly killed. Remember, if the situation changes, you can cancel your rocket punch by pressing left click. Now, this will activate the cooldown for the rocket punch as if you used it, but it's far better to wait a few seconds on a cooldown than to fully commit to a bad situation and then just die. Number 6, Doomfist can be great at defense as well, or more specifically, defending your supports. I know whenever someone picks a Doomfist, they often dream about jumping into the enemy backline and getting all the kills in the play of the games, but really Doomfist is also incredibly good at defending your own backline. Any of the heroes that would normally dive your backline hunting for your supports can be easily dealt with by your Doomfist. Whether it's a Genji, Tracer, Winston, whatever, your Doomfist can deal with it quite well. If your supports are having problems, you can hang back a bit and quickly take care of whoever has been harassing them. Most of these can be killed in one hit by the rocket punch, and this will open up a lot of space for your own supports, allowing them to do their job a lot better, which in turn helps everyone else on your team. Number 5. The primary function of Doomfist's abilities is to kill things, not for just moving around. Although Doomfist's abilities give him an amazing amount of mobility, you should mostly be using them to deal damage and get kills, not just travel from one spot to another. This is kind of a similar situation that a lot of Tracer players seem to fall into. Oftentimes a player using Tracer will use up all of their blinks to simply get to where the fight is happening, and that means when they actually are in the fight, they no longer have any blinks to use for defensive purposes because they're all on cooldown. The same thing happens with Doomfist players. They use all of their abilities to simply get to the fight, and once they're there, they have nothing left for actual damage. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't use Doomfist abilities to get around, but remember, you need to use them to get kills first. Number 4, your abilities restore your health, or more specifically, they will give you a surge of bonus temporary health. This means that an aggressive playstyle with Doomfist is rewarded. Use your abilities as often as possible to not only maximize the damage that you can do, but to also significantly increase the amount of sustainability that you have. If you and an enemy are both at low health, oftentimes attacking them being aggressive is better than trying to evade them. For each ability that you land, obviously you're going to deal damage and take away their health, but at the same time you're going to be restoring your own health. So in any of those one-on-one situations, applying more pressure is almost always going to benefit you. All of your normal abilities will recover 30 health per target that gets hit. And it doesn't matter if it's a full charge rocket punch or a very low charge rocket punch, it's still going to recover that 30 health. Now, for the Seismic Slam and the Uppercut, they can hit multiple targets, and you'll get the 30 health for each target that you hit. As for your ultimate, Meteor Strike, it will recover 75 health for the first 2 targets that you hit. Whether it comes from normal abilities or your ultimate, this temporary bonus health can only bring you up to a maximum of 400 health. Number 3, Doomfist's ultimate, Meteor Strike, is one of the most powerful ultimates in the game. In addition to the damage that it deals, it also grants the player true invincibility and true invisibility at the same time. Other similar abilities like Zenyatta's Transcendence grant him invincibility, but he can still be bumped around by other things like Winston's Primal Rage. This means that a Zenyatta using his Transcendence can still die from getting knocked off a cliff, resulting in an environmental kill. Reaper in his Wraith form is fully invincible and cannot be affected by anything, including bumping around from Primal Rage and other stuff, but he obviously can be seen and then immediately attacked when the Wraith form ends. Sombra can go invisible, but is detected if she gets too close to an enemy or is spotted by a Hanzo or a Widowmaker. Doomfist, however, does not suffer from any of these drawbacks during his Meteor Strike. He cannot be hurt or acted upon in any way, shape, or form because the character is quite literally taken out of the game. The player model does not exist during Doomfist's ultimate. So not only is he entirely invincible, but he is also invisible as well. The only thing that the enemy players are able to see is the impact zone immediately before Doomfist lands. So this ability can be used not only to initiate, but also to escape or to re-engage in the middle of a fight. Similar to how a Winston will use his ult Primal Rage whenever he gets low on health in order to stay in a fight. Doomfist can then use Meteor Strike to temporarily remove himself from the battlefield, and upon landing will be granted a bunch of bonus health for every enemy that he hits. If you're about to die, launch into the Meteor Strike to take some heat off of you. Hit a couple of enemies on the way down, and then continue fighting. Number 2. Following up on the ultimate, it's important to know that there are two different ways of moving around the targeting circle. If you simply move the circle around, it will go inside buildings and underneath structures. However, if you hold the right click, it will give you a top-down view, which allows you to land on top of buildings and other structures. This can be great for engaging any targets that are on high ground, placing yourself on high ground so that you can further initiate, or simply moving away as far as possible as quickly as you can. And the number one tip for Doomfist is combo everything. Doomfist has been designed with a variety of abilities, including his left click and even the quick melee, that work very well with one another. You can engage with any one of these abilities and then immediately follow it up with something else that Doomfist has. Open up with a Seismic Slam, followed by an uppercut, followed by a rocket punch. Or maybe start with the rocket punch and then go into a Seismic Slam and then an uppercut, left clicking as your opponent is helplessly floating in the air. Or you could use that cross up that I mentioned earlier, where you can initiate by getting behind the enemy, follow it with an uppercut to make them helpless in the air, and finish them off with a rocket punch or a couple of left clicks. Also, don't forget to use those left clicks as much as possible in between all of the abilities that you're using. Almost any combination of the abilities combined with left clicks and even the quick melee will make very short work of almost any enemy in the game. Don't hesitate to use those abilities because, as I said before, those are your primary source of damage. They will also give you that bonus health every time you land one of them, and on top of that, the cooldown for all of Doomfist's abilities are really low, so even if you miss, that ability will be coming right back up pretty quick. So there you have it, guys, my top 10 tips for Doomfist. I hope it helped you out. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because I'm always making lots of tips and trick videos as well as covering all the latest in Overwatch news. So subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any of it. Also, don't forget to check out my Discord server where you can join the community and find other players to group with. The link for that is in the description. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.